Probably already live, but I'm waiting. Now we're live. All right, so we are officially live for Worldwide Slot Car Chat on Zoom number 180. I'm your host, Greg Gaub. The gang is all here. We got Aleph and Phil and Dennis and J-Rod and Don and John and Mike and Jeremy and Jim and Mario and Garth and other people who don't want to show their face for some reason, but that's okay. You can come and join the chat. Any kind of slot car talk is welcome, and you don't have to show your face or even speak on a microphone. Let us start off with show and tell. I have some show and tell. I'm sure other people have some show and tell. Raise your virtual hand so I make sure not to forget about calling on you. Gio hopefully has some really cool progress on his car, but his camera's not on right now. So we'll go to Jim first and get back to Gio. Go ahead, Jim.
Yes, probably at work.
Probably, yeah. He's got a suit on.
Mm-hmm.
Your mic isn't working, Jim. I see you're not muted, but we can't hear you. All right,
Check,
we'll come back
check
to
and
Jim.
make sure there's no button on your cord.
Yeah, make sure there's no button. And make sure it's plugged all the way in. Check your microphone option settings in Zoom, all that jazz. So we'll go to Gio. Go ahead, Gio.
No. Go ahead, guys. I'm not ready.
Oh, okay. Well, you put your hand up. I guess we'll make you go last then. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, man.
You want John to go? You guys put your hand up. Don't be putting your hand up until you're ready.
Well, I was sort of ready, and then I wasn't. So we have a regular unboxing here as we speak.
Ah, I did that.
Yeah. So now I have 3.
Why?
That means we got a class.
Sorry, messing with
So
you.
red, yellow, and silver.
Oh, there you go.
And I think I'm going to keep these stock.
I
I don't know why. I think it's probably stupid, but we'll see what happens next week. Just watch that particular video. We'll see what kind of carnage ensues.
Completely stock other than putting the chip in, or are you going to swap in some tires?
Put the chip in, yeah. No, put the chip in and
Switch the guide out.
yeah, switch the guide out to scale electric guide, and that's it. We'll see what happens. If the tires are really, really bad, I might consider. I've got some stock car tires. I might be able to use those, some urethanes, and that should be good. But they should be a fun class. It's a really pretty car. I mean, the silver is actually better than the red and yellow. I think it just came out perfect.
Well, Michael, I think all German cars are supposed to be silver, aren't they?
I don't know. I'm a little on off on that one. You know, that's the way it goes, and that's the way I usually don't want to go for that reason. But yeah, this one particularly looks good in the silver and black stripes. For some reason, it just really pops nicely, and it's a really well done car, despite the fact that it's got an interior that weighs about 40 grams. So.
And plus, you could probably sell the chip on eBay or something to try and sort of supplement the cost of the car too.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. They did not. I didn't find that they sold the car without the chip. You had to buy the chipped car.
Yep.
So now I have a Carrera chip that I have to get rid of. So, and I have another one actually, but I took it apart. So, you know, because I was busy doing things while you were there, but I have the wheel here. I'll stick the wheel in quickly. There. The new Nissan. I succumbed to peer pressure to get the fastest one. We'll see how it goes on my track. It'll be interesting because the Jaguar goes really well. So I'm interested to see how the Nissan does. And I just couldn't resist, even though there are other cars that I should really have bought, but didn't.
Are you going to take off the skirts, the wheel covers?
I generally like them without the skirts. I got them less than 15 minutes ago. So it's not much has been done, except I took it apart because I was going to throw the chip in real quick because it's easy with a slotted chip. It's so easy. You just stick a double-faced foam tape in and stick it on and you're done.
Yeah.
It works really well that way. But of course, it's going to need all the stuff that all my group C's have, which is usually slotted or some other kind of suspension on it. What are they? Oh, forgot the number off the top of them. Oh, 1172 G25 tires. Those are my go-to tires. So that's all I'll do.
Okie dokie.
That's me.
All right. Thanks for sharing, Mike. John, you ready? Go for it.
Okay, folks. Well, as you know, it's getting a little cooler here in the Great White North, and people are actually gearing up for indoor activity. So there are a whole bunch of collector shows and toy shows, and one of the largest toy shows was this past weekend. And I can't encourage you folks enough to get out and just go to these shows. You never know what you're going to find. So let me just show you exactly what I mean here. And I'll show you some pictures of one chap had like these model kits. Okay, like check this out, folks. Like these are potential 1/24th scale slot cars, and these are all vintage kits. You see the cheetah, the Cox cheetah there?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely pristine, mint in the box. And this is at a toy show.
So you got them all, right?
Yeah, as if I need a fourth or a fifth. But it's so cool. And check this out. Like that's as rare as hen's teeth. I mean, you know, especially when you go to never mind a model show, but a toy show. And for 125 Canadian, you know, that's you know, the royal bucks, not the real bucks. That's not a bad price. And believe it or not, check it out. Vintage HO track with cars. I mean, these are Hot Wheels, but he had cars with it, which was really kind of cool. And here's the size of the show. This was at in our neighborhood, the Etobicoke Olympium. But you can see there's everything from tin toys, trains, and you know, you just got to dig down, and it's amazing what you'll find. And it was actually really big. Like this is a basketball gymnasium that was absolutely full. So I just did a couple of really quick. So these were HO slot cars. These are Hot Wheels. It's really kind of cool.
How often do they have the show?
This is once a year, but there are different types of shows. So in 2 weeks, they're actually having a collector and hobby show. Like, you know, I guess they're just different people who organize different things. So my wife was actually interested in going to that one as well with me. She actually was, her and Tracy were with me at this, and they had a great time. I'll just zoom through, but I'll show you some other things that I found. I just tried to give you the scope of it. Like, and you never know what you're going to find. Like this, check this out. Mint in the box, 1/24th scale. This was the only Eldon set that was ever worth owning. And this guy had two of them. One was in the cellophane and one was open.
Is that single lane tracks I can see?
No, 2 lanes.
Oh, it looks like there's a dark line between them.
There is. It's made to sort of, it's molded in to replicate like a solid line between the lanes. Yeah. But this is the only Eldon track that was ever worth owning. Now check this out. A 1/8 scale guitar. How can you say no? The trick is, where do I put the motor? Any suggestions? I mean, I think the guide blade could go here. Two wheel. Anyway, we'll see how it works out. And check. I like, you know, it in the box, Matt Mason stuff that works. And believe it or not, this microphone was on somebody's table. This was called, this is an Electro Voice 664. They call it the Buchanan Hammer because when they demonstrated the microphone back in the day, whoever was demonstrating would talk, disconnect it, hammer and nail into a piece of wood, reconnect the microphone and show that it still worked. They were built between 1954 and 64. And if you ever see James Brown whipping around a mic, this is it. So I ended up getting it, thinking it didn't work, jerry rigged an XLR cable, son of a gun, the darn thing works. So as I said, please, if there are local shows, you'll never know what you might find. So, and you'll meet some amazing people as well. So that's my show and tell.
That's super cool. And some cool finds. All righty, good stuff. Sorry, did somebody have a question? Comment? Okay, moving on. All right, Jeremy, you're next.
I don't plan to make the microphone into a slot car. It's too heavy.
Okay, good.
Okay, a few weeks ago, we were talking about inserts, and somebody kind of jokingly said, the inserts that they have were like 10% lighter or something. And I said, well, ours are going to be 11% lighter. So this was a milligram scale of just a slotted 4-spoke, as you can see, 0.23 grams. And then their fan, this is for 15 slotted 15-inch wheels, or 15s. It's 0.28 grams. This is a NSR insert, 0.31 grams. And then Garth got to work on his, and he got it down to 0.13 grams per wheel. So we cut the weight in half on that. I should say he cut the weight in half. Now, obviously, this is not going to be for everybody. I mean, but sometimes you'll have a club that says we need period specific inserts, and now you want to save, half the weight. We've got a way to do it now. And then you can paint them up. The paint will add weight back into them, but you'll paint them up. The outer rims, where the rims actually are very solid, but the undershell that we've got cut away here, it's almost like a fibrous membrane you would pull off of a rack of ribs. It's so thin and light. Now, whether or not that's going to be good or bad, I'm not sure. In my testing so far, I haven't noticed like anything weird, but just to get them down that thin, it really shaves. I think it's like 0.4 microns or something is what it wound up getting down to.
You printed those with resin, Jeremy?
Yeah, those are in a tough resin, but I mean, I could do it in different materials, but so far they've held up for me. Everybody's mileage may vary. There's like a 6-spoke one that we were working on earlier. So we've got a 5-spoke, a 6-spoke, and then just for fun, we did a turbo fan design here for like the front of the Porsche 956s. But instead of having it like 4 separate pieces that can go flying off, Garth just made this one solid piece. Now these ones aren't as light as the ones I showed earlier, but they're still lighter than slotted. So, and they don't go flying off in 4 different directions. So that is all I have.
And it doubles the speed.
Yeah.
I race more Group C than any of those other inserts would apply to. So the turbo inserts appeal to me. I hate those stupid. I like the look of them, and I have no problem putting them on my car. But yeah, the being multiple pieces, having to glue them together, and when they, oh man, such a pain.
I have had so many of those Porsches, and I never know when I take it off the shelf which wheel is going to be there. Like, you know, it's one part's in, the little silver part's gone, the red part, it's like all over the place. And I don't want to buy them again because I know they're going to go into 4 different directions again as soon as I crash. So
yeah, we had to have inserts. We had to have period correct inserts for the slotted nationals, and I was changing wheels, right? So I had to get the inserts out of the previous wheels and into the replacement wheels, and
that's not always easy.
Not always easy. No, I almost destroyed the inserts trying to get them out of the other wheels.
So these are just for 15s. Hopefully I've got them all ready, packaged up and to go. I'm going to start selling them, I think, on eBay or something, and then hook them into my website and get them to people that way.
Cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
All right, Gio, are you ready now? He had his finger on the button.
I put my hands up because you said I have some show and tell. So I thought that you were going first. That's why.
I like to tease it.
I just got in the office. So anyway, I don't think that I showed last time this picture, did I? So
you showed. I think you showed the silver.
Up to the silver.
Yeah. Hey, I just start here is fine.
Okay, so so this is the Lexus that I'm trying to recreate basically most of the livery, not through decals, but just by painting. So because it's kind of very fine details, so I need to kind of to have to mask with very kind of thin strips of tape. And actually this works really, really well. I mean, you know, I've done this now, these kind of masking and unmasking several times, and I didn't have any issue. So the only problem is that it's very time consuming, because not only you have to trace all the parts where you have to put it, but then you need to start filling up, you know, the different parts that you want to cover with a small piece of tape. So, but I mean, it works amazingly. And so I'm preparing the car. So the car is parts in black, which should be carbon fiber, but yeah, I don't have that kind of paint, let's say, or I didn't go to that level. Then I need to, most of the car is a kind of mirror blue with some chrome parts. So I'm preparing the car here to kind of with a black base and then cover with the sparkling silver from Tamiya pot. So this is the car almost ready to go, and these after basically kind of a spray. So you can see that. So look at this part over here. I mean, I'm not a very good painter, but shit, this is very good. I mean, this was the part that I was really worried about, but it actually came out pretty good. So the silver was in, as you can see, pretty happy with that. But then basically, you know, I put this picture on slot forums, and they started people. I mean, of course, Tamar comes with the 300 different types of suggestions how to do better. It should be chrome, should be mirror, you have to polish. Okay, let's try to polish. This was something that I want to try for a while. And so I watched a couple of videos on YouTube, and what they do usually is they get like sandpaper first, and then compound, and then polishing fine, whatever it is, Tamiya or whatever you want to use it. So I went with the 3000 sponge Tamiya sandpaper, and this is the freaking results. So basically, I started removing the silver from the top, and yeah, so basically 3000, even so fine, it's still too coarse for this. So masking everything up again and respraying it, and these are the results back in business. And now I'm preparing the car for spraying the blue, covering some parts of the silver. So this is the preparation, and this is the car after I sprayed. So now the car, so these I sprayed the car with a clear blue, but it still look very, very kind of too metallic or too deep, too dense as a color, not really mirror effect. And so this time I said, okay, let's try to polish it again, but starting directly from the Tamiya compound. So this is still as it came out from the first layer of spray. And so one thing also to kind of that I mean, I should never realize it, is that I sprayed the clear blue directly on the black. So because before I was planning to kind of cover the black as well, but Tamar said don't need to do that, because I mean the blue will not be visible. It actually gives a more bluish thing to the black. And so actually turned out pretty good. It was a lot of layers to build up at this level, and I think I finished half of the can. But everything is sprayed here with airbrush. So I have a can that I kind of decant inside the airbrush and then spray over. Yeah, then I tried outside to see how it looks like with the sunlight. And maybe this was the first kind of pass that I did with try to polish it up. Still okay, but not as good as this one. So this one actually I kind of put a bit more work into it, and now you can start seeing some of the mirror effect. So there is a bit of stuff kind of showing up here. So the blue is less dense and showing through the kind of reflecting a bit better. So this outside, I mean, it's not perfect. I mean the silver should have been like chrome mirror effect to really recreate properly. But man,
You
I mean,
definitely got the shine going. The roof,
Yeah,
the roof. Yeah, you can see yourself. You know, you can mirror on the roof and the bonnet.
yeah, this was the stuff, right? So this is basically, it's kind of me, right? So these are my hands and the phone. Yeah, but because again, I was maybe too enthusiastic with my polishing. I think you can see here that some of the silver again was coming off. And this time didn't use any bloody, grit or sandpaper. So anyway, yesterday masking again and kind of solve the problem there. So I'm really getting cocky now with the masking. So and I prepared also the car because I mean some of these vents here and this part of here they have some kind of I think metal plates on top of it because it's where the exhaust kind of exchange heat, and this is where the exhaust fumes come out. So they have like some special plates. I think the timing plates maybe. So I'm preparing for painting that. I need to paint the handle here black, so I'm gonna mask it and paint back, and then the other very difficult part is that these bloody cars have a silver insert, I would say, or chrome insert here going around this part of the roof. So that is going to be another nightmare to kind of cover. I mean, some of the parts are like, again, it's not 100% perfect here, but I don't care because there's going to be a decal, a strip of black decal going through that. So these are kind of a bit intentional. What else? Oh, and these other part over here as well. So this is again, it's kind of a bit messed up with the kind of polishing, but you can see the level of the details that you can do, how fine you can go. So pretty happy with that. Yeah. I have a bunch of other things to show and tell, but so this is the car is a kind of I think a part. I mean, I need still to spray a bit more, but it's almost ready to go for decals and then lights. And I have also interesting plan for the interiors, for the lights and interior stuff. So which I'm gonna share if I'm gonna manage maybe this weekend. So one of the question is, I don't know if any of you basically does any polishing with the day models. So after painting, because I mean I've seen, yeah, John, I can see you. So I've seen some of those videos. I mean, how the heck they can go with the 3000 sandpaper even if it's wet and not having the paint coming off? I mean, how much clear coat they put on top? I mean, 10 liters.
Well, I've had a lot of
Also gallons. Sorry,
I've had a lot of success with the stuff that I what the heck? Oh, novice polish.
the floor.
Yeah,
No, the floor polish.
Novice polish is actually made for aeronautics, believe it or not. You use it, it's a plastic polish specifically, but it works really well on paints, especially acrylics, because they're plastic based. And it comes in basically like 3 compounds. Number 3 is the most severe, number 2 is like perfect, and 1 is basically just to like keep the dust off. So I use 2.
Can you share like the link or the names on the chat, or maybe Greg can grab it and then we can go. Okay, yeah, I will try that. I mean, I hate, polishing, sanding, something that, I don't know when to stop, and I don't, so either too early or too, after I made damage. But
Gio, are you using paint with polyurethane in it?
Say again?
Are you using paint with polyurethane in it?
Well, I don't know, using Tamiya paint. So both, I mean, paint and clear.
Okay, not water-based acrylic.
No,
okay.
No, it's all lacquer.
When you dispense it from your aerosol can, are you then thinning before you apply it, Gio?
Yes, I use basically a two-way thinner. That's the automotive stuff. So these are friends of mine get for me. It works really well. I mean, for cleaning thank you, John, for cleaning basically the airbrush or anything. It's fantastic. I mean, since I've been using that stuff, for instance, I never had the clogs, never had the problem spraying the paint, and it works really well. Anyway, yeah.
Is
So
this what you were looking for?
That's the stuff. That's the stuff that John was speaking of. Yes.
Yeah.
Ah, you beat me to it, Dennis. You beat me to it, as
I
usual.
didn't
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Yeah.
This is why I would never race against you, even in slot cars, never mind the internet searches.
Now, Gio, do you enter into concourse awards or what? Because you do these amazing paints. What's the end result of these?
I've got a suggestion. The end result is he turns the lights off and races them in the dark. It's true.
I don't know. Have you ever entered a concourse? I don't think I've ever seen you enter any of your cars in a concourse.
No, that's not a good thing.
You should. They do look good. All right, I think we're done with that. And Jim, are you ready to go?
I think so. Is my mic working now?
Yep.
Okay. We had a power outage this morning and the mic didn't want to connect. So let's got a real quick one today. We're starting a new series this weekend with the Revo slots and with the Legends. And so I got a Revo slot and I see Mario's online. So don't tell Mario what I'm doing. I got all the parts. So we can change wheels, tires, gears, axles, and so forth. We have to use stock tires. And obviously take them. Well, we don't have to take the magnet out. It's not a magnetic track. So I got everything ready to go. And I've seen these before. I've run one at a friend's house one time, but I didn't even think how tall and how short they are. So they're little stubby tall things. So we're gonna have a blast with them. I ran one time. A friend of mine let me borrow one, and so I'm looking forward to it. So I'm building mine, and here's the start of the build. 3 of those tungsten bars fit very nicely in the magnet pocket, and I've got 1 tungsten bar up front. So that's my start. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I don't have to worry about painting it because it's pre-painted. It does come with a really nice decal sheet, which will do 3 or 4 cars. So that's one of the reasons I bought this pre-painted one as opposed to the white kit. The pre-painted was like $7 or $8 more, but it came with a full decal sheet where the white kit comes with just numbers. And so it was worth it even if I stripped this down and paint it myself. So it looks great with the CB Design wheels. Unfortunately, the CB Design wheels, the set screws are inside the tire. If you look at it from the top, they're inside. So the only way to get to the set screw is, I know Dennis knows how to do this, but in 24 scale, we used to pry or cut. I just used a pick and cut through the rubber so I can get the Allen wrench into it to change it or tighten it. And you don't even hardly notice it. You can see it when you look at it, but you don't even hardly notice it. So that was just an issue, not an issue, but just the way it is with the CB Design wheels. There's no hub that sticks out. So that's it.
Oh, Jim, it looks like it's almost welded in.
I was gonna say it looked like you'd glued the DPR door in.
I did, yeah.
Is that just to reduce noise or to stiffen up the chassis, or
Just keep it in tight. I don't like using screws there. I just want to be able to put lead on there too. So just to keep it in tight.
yeah? What glue did you use? The super
Just
glue?
CA.
Yeah.
It's not coming out.
Yeah, it's stiffened the chassis slightly too, I would imagine.
Probably, yeah.
It'll be good when it's built this high grip.
So we'll see how it works. I don't know. You know, like I said, I've run one, but I've never built one. And so I've got about 7 grams of tungsten right in front of the motor and about a 2 gram bar up by the guide. The wheels are glued and trued, and they're on the machine right now being broken in. So we'll see how that goes. Trying to get it low was a challenge.
I don't know if you've discovered this already from your disassembling and assembling, but you got to watch out for the etched metal grill piece will sometimes press on the front of the chassis. So sometimes you got to bend that out of the way or cut a little bit off or something so that your chassis doesn't get all tweaked out from being.
Well, good. I'll check that out because I have to install that because the body's painted and the interior is painted, but nothing's assembled.
Okay. Yep.
So that was good for me too, because don't hate it, but painting interiors is not a fun thing for me. So it comes with a fully painted interior, and the body is fully painted in two-tone, but everything else, all the little pieces come separate. So it's still a kit. It's just not a white kit.
Nice. Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and do mine.
Are you treating those tires with oil, Jim?
Am I what?
Are you treating those? Are you running those tires together with oil?
Well, there's people on this call that
John,
are
we already
competing
found that.
against me. So yes, I am. Don't tell Mario.
Yeah, and you can get Novus polish from Amazon. Thank you, John. Yeah, the Pioneer rubber does respond to oil, so depend.
That was where I was heading. I was hoping, because it's not a typical rubber, is it? It's a urethane compound.
I've been oiling my Pioneer rubber tires now, and they do swell when you put the oil in overnight. You could tell that it does something to it.
After 24 hours on the braking machine, we'll find out.
There you go.
All right, I'm gonna do my show and tell real quick. Just a bunch of 3D printing stuff. So you should be seeing one of my 3D printed crash wall barrier system things. These are freely shared online, so if you have a 3D printer, you can print your own. Of course, I'll print them for sale for people. Somebody with Polycar Track, a couple of people over the years since I designed this with Polycar wanted me to do things for Polycar, but I only just finally got a piece of Polycar taken home with me because it was a manufacturing error piece. And anyway, so now I had prototyping, and this is a new clip design that hooks on and has a little hooky bit on top so that the wall doesn't just fall straight down off of the track if your track is elevated. And because it's for Polycar, there are two ways you can do it. You can clip it over the track like that, but Polycar has the openings on the side for their borders and stuff. So I designed a clip that pushes in. The difference is with my original clip, they go into these special spots at the bottom of the wall that fit in these, so you can choose where the clips go, but they have to be able to go onto the edge of the track without any interference. That's why you can choose where the clips go. With this that goes into the side of the track, you can't choose where it goes. And sometimes it won't align, or probably most of the time it won't align with more than one of those little clip spots. So instead of doing it into my little clip mechanism, it just goes around the entire bottom of the wall. And so, two of those on the side of your Polycar track, and the wall will bend around it just fine. And there's not a big old gap or anything sticking on top of the track for that version. And it plugs in and friction fits pretty good. A long time ago, there was a product for holding down Scalextric track called Lex Locks by Trackspert, and they were made in metal. They were milled aluminum buttons, and after a while, they became too expensive for the designer to continue. And he gave me permission to reverse engineer his design for Scalextric Sport. And I was asked to do it for Polycar, but I didn't have track, but now I have track, and these have been redesigned for Polycar. So basically what it does is this circular button goes into the circular hole on the bottom of the track. This is the spike that you use to mark the spot where the button goes. But the button has a large hole where you screw the button to your wood, to your table, right? And you don't screw it down hard, you screw it down so that it can only move side to side. This allows the track to expand and contract due to temperature changes without being constricted too much by whatever mechanism you're holding the track down, right? So this gives enough give for the track to do its very small expansion and contractions from temperature, and just pushes right in and holds real nice. The spike is basically designed to be just in there, and you put a magnet in the spike while you're printing it, and then put another magnet on the top of the track to hold it in there. And then you put a piece of tape on your table or wood or whatever you're going to screw the button to, and then press the spike down so you know exactly where the center of that circular bit on the track is. You're not having to measure and compare and stuff like that. It works really well. It worked great for the Scalextric version. I've not yet used this on Polycar, but hopefully somebody out there who wants that for Polycar will use it at some point in the future, and let me know if there's any issues. And
Hey, Greg,
yeah,
thank you for printing that. I just want to say, if anybody's watching and is not sure, I think you have a video about it, but these things changed my life, literally. Like when I put these on my track and it held the track down where nothing would bounce around or move. Like you can turn the track upside down and it keeps the track exactly where it's supposed to be. They're so good. And like, I would just reach out to Greg and get some 3D printed just to start. And then I put it in your corners to start. But once you start with them, you'll be putting them everywhere. They're just a great design.
Yeah, I used them for my portable track, and I used them for when I first got the original ones. I used them for basically a little test track that I just stood up in my garage, and then of course the portable track comes apart in sections and stood up in my garage as well. You don't even need one for every piece of track. You only need one button every other track at the most. And on mine, I basically did like maybe one button every 3 or 4 tracks, because as long as your tracks are all stuck together anyways, that you don't need a whole lot of buttons to hold the whole thing down.
Well,
yeah.
Just to point out also, Greg, so that wall that you made the clip for a Polycar track, I've used that on my layout, and it's one of the very few things with the 3D printer where, it's kind of like I started with 3D printing and then I kind of scratch built, more stuff and all that has stood the test of time because it's nice and flexible, but it's strong enough to take a beating. It's a really, if you're looking at getting, putting borders on the side of your track, that version's good, but certainly, that whole design is really just a great job. So thank you for putting this stuff out there.
Thank you for the compliment. And because I have Polycar now, I have Polycar compatible clips. It's pretty close to Carrera, so the Carrera.
Maybe Polycar could send you a few things.
I'd ask, but I have no need for it, so it's no big deal. And I accidentally showed this earlier. I just whipped up a quick pit caddy, nothing fancy or special, just something that holds a few bottles in a roll of lint roller. I think it's like a 70 millimeter hole for the lint roller because I got big old Costco size lint rollers, and then 32 millimeter diameter holes for all the bottles, which fits all of these things. And then slot up front for your lane stickers. And then I designed the clips to be separate. So you can print one clip, one long clip, multiple clips, but they slot into another slot on the bottom backside of the pit caddy. So you can remove them and replace them with different size clips. I designed clips for 3/4 inch wood walls and 1/2 inch wood walls. I don't know if there's a need for smaller or larger than that, but it seemed to work real well. And I'm certainly open to suggestions because I don't do a whole lot of, competitions that require or make use of a pit caddy track side. Usually all that stuff's done in the pit, and then I don't get to do anything at the track. The cars are at the track. I can't do nothing. So I've seen lots of pit caddies out there. I'm not going to make that for sale. I just posted it on my printables. If you have a printer and want a pit caddy, you got a friend with a printer and you want a pit caddy, go ahead and grab that and print it out. But if you want a modification of that, feel free to ask me for it. But I also strongly encourage people, if you have a 3D printer and you're grabbing stuff like that to print, and you want a modification of it, just hop on OpenCAD or Tinkercad or Fusion 360 or any number of CAD things, because that is like, other than just making a box, the pit caddy is basically one of the easiest things you can do, because you basically you figure out the diameters of your circles and the sizes of your squares and rectangles, you draw them, and then you extrude everything around them. you draw a box around all your circles and squares and whatnot, and then you extrude from there. Super easy peasy to do that kind of thing and to make adjustments as necessary to add holes and slots and whatever for screwdrivers and tools, special tools that you have that nobody else has. Go design your own. It's super easy and it's super rewarding to draw and print and have the thing that you imagined. So, spiel done. Any questions or comments on any of those things that I just whipped through?
Are you going polycar?
I'm not switching to polycar, no. I mean, the lane changers aren't even out yet,
Not yet.
Yeah,
Not
but you can make them work.
That's true. You're the man for that. All right, I'm done. And Mario put his hand up. What you got today, Mario? You're still muted, so I ask to unmute. There, you gotta unmute. There you
go. Two things that I wanted to share. I'm going to touch bases on Jim's Pioneer car. So I'm also working on another Pioneer car. I'll show you the one that I already have done.
You might need to turn off your background.
No.
Good. Yeah, no, we can see that.
Okay. Yeah, I put my hand over it. So I ended up using the staff wheels on this particular one, which I think it turned out pretty good for this car. Yeah, if you can see that.
Yep.
And we were trying to figure out the best wheel to use, and I ended up finding the CBD wheels. I know Jim was using CBD wheels, but I think he went with the 15 by 10s. And I found these ones.
15 by 7.
15 by 8s. Yeah, the 15 by 7s. They're an exact match to the stock plastic wheels. And I just got done fitting one on right now. And they're perfect. There's nothing wrong with them. They fit on just exactly perfect. So it's a perfect match. So I'm going to be putting together this other red one that I have and doing that. So I'm going to have a second car with those wheels on it. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the Legends car race. The last thing I wanted to share, I'm not a really big HO guy, and you guys might be able to geek out on this. So I was at my local hobby shop and I came across this. Let's see, hopefully it, let me put a backing on it. Maybe that might help.
It's really no, it's the virtual background.
There it is.
There you go. Keep your face in frame. Rat fling. Nice.
Yep. So I found this and I picked it up and it's still in the package, hasn't been opened. And the other one I got,
a Batmobile.
There you go, Duan.
I got an HO Batmobile that I found and still in the package, and it's really cool. So I liked it and I picked them up.
Sweet.
That's it for me.
Are there any HO clubs in your area you could go and play with?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Jim has a couple guys that run HO, so I don't know if I really want to open these up because they're kind of cool just left in the package.
Shelf queens.
Yeah. So
Okay,
that's it for me.
To go to what Mario said, the wheels that I use, the 15 by 10, the rib on those wheels are 5 millimeters wide, and the Pioneer Legends are about 3 millimeters wide, the stock wheels. So I had to put them in a lathe and turn them down so the tires would fit better.
Oh, you did lay them out. Okay, yeah, because
No,
I noticed.
I didn't do that, but yeah, that's probably what I should have done. Yeah.
Oh, so you're using cheater wheels?
Yeah, pretty much.
So I don't know if you can see, but the stock wheel that came, this rib on the 7 mil is exactly same diameter as the stock. I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
Yeah, it's a funky wheel, is that Pioneer Legend one?
Oh,
See it? Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but they're exact match. So I'm going to put those on. We'll see how it goes.
Those were the CB design 15 by 7s.
Yeah, CB did. Yes, 15 by 7s. Yeah.
There you go. All right, thank you for sharing. And let's get to Garth, and then we'll get whatever Gio's got. What you got, Garth? You're muted.
Why don't you let Gio go first?
Okay, Gio, go ahead. Are you ready?
I'm ready, but every fucking time you just move things around.
People keep putting up their hands and then taking them down. I don't know who wants to go first anymore.
Okay. So I got like my kind of user shipment from Armchair Racer from Australia. And so they sent a bunch of free things down here. But I also got a new bunch of oxygen chips. So 6 new and 2 are kind of a replacement. So if you remember, when I did the Porsche 963, I think, one of the C chip that I used basically destroyed or kind of burn out the lights on the back, and I had to do a lot of extra work to rejig those lights. So I decided to put together kind of a small jig that would allow me to do some quick testing for the chips that I have. So this is the jig that I'm using. So this is one of the Scalatrix track. And so on the back, you can see that there are 2 types of connectors. So there is the standard slotted, that is the one that the chip usually has, or I've also put one of mine that is the one that I use when kind of swap this one. So in case I want to test some other chips that I have laying around. And I did this kind of similar to the front. The only thing is that there is like either I use my 2-pin connector here, or I use the one of the slotted connectors, but attached with the pins. So in case I need again swap between the two systems. And so bloody hell.
I didn't do it. I promise. I'm not touching anything. It's all you, dude.
No, it was me. It was me. I mean, I wasn't.
Gio doesn't work in IT.
So yeah. I blame Greg for this.
Okay, I'll take the blame.
Anyway, okay, so yeah, so basically, these are kind of like the chip comes out the box, both the B1 and so the B2 and the C1. So these are with, or at least the new kind of version. So the one produced almost, I think, this year, later last year. Then what I have here is like this small base. It has some power that I connect, and then I have my SP2 controller connected to power supply here. So, and usually what this test, with this test, I check whether there is a decent connectivity with the chip, because I have instances like the chip would lose connection to the controller, even if I was like, I don't know, 5-inch distance. So some of them, the connection wasn't bad. So these are kind of first kind of checks. And then the other thing that I usually also check is the lights. So basically I have one of my kits, so and I have like these, I rigged up these lights. So I have, so these are the brake lights and these are the front lights. So basically if I burn this one, I don't have any problem. I can easily kind of rejig them up or change the LEDs. So I'm not gonna kind of destroy the lights that I sold in a car. And so this is what I do. So basically put the car on, put the chip, and then switch it on, and then check whether basically the lights are working. So excuse the status of my desk, but this is the mess that I have laying around. Yeah, so very simple. I mean, I like the fact that the truck is a kind of big platform that I can use, so I can put whatever I want. So I can do this also for the C chips, and pretty easy. And you know, you don't destroy anything that you have spent like hours putting together. So was it you or was it me, Greg, this time stop the share?
It was you, dude. I didn't click anything.
It was me. Okay. Yeah, my kind of a trackpad is very sensitive, man. Jesus Christ.
Are you done then? Are you all done?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for the light show. Okay, moving on. Garth, are you ready?
Yeah.
Take it away.
Okay. Okay. You guys see that okay?
Yep.
Okay. This is a bunch of stuff I've been working on, obviously. This is the latest version of the Sidewinder motor pod. Okay, 1 millimeter offset that I'm working on, and it's going to be SLS printed. All right, that's what it looks like, and this is kind of a, you know, this part of it is exactly the same as the other one I had, only I made a few changes to the holes, and I changed these screw mounts down so that they're the same size as a tap drill for an M4 screw, because I'm going to drill and tap the holes in there, the nylon holes. Okay.
M4's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, you must have been M2 or something.
Yeah, M2. Yeah, M2, just M2 screws. And this one is being printed in not SLS, but MPF. Okay.
MJF.
That dark gray colors.
Yeah, it's PF nylon. It's the same as you get from Shapeways SLS printed.
Yeah, but it's different. Supposed to be.
Yeah, it's homogeneous. It's the same stiffness in all direction. It hasn't got layer lines.
Okay, that's another shot of it. Okay, and here's the new one. Okay, actually, I got two of that the motor pod on the way here, so I should have those in a couple days. This is a Ferrari F40 chassis. Again, it's going to be MPF nylon printed. Okay, and basically it's got everything on it. It's got the motor pod that's connected to it. Okay, look at some side view of it. There it is. That's a better view of it. You can see it. This is the rear motor, rear body mount. That's the forward body mount. Got the guide thing, and front end of it is. And so it's just all this stuff glued onto the motor pod. Okay.
What are the horizontal holes through the center spine for, Garth?
Those are just so that you can put wires down the center, down the middle there, and flip them on, hook them on, put a piece of string in there,
yeah,
wire tie, whatever you want to put in there. There's a shot of the front of it. Okay, and this was probably the hardest part of this whole thing, was this whole area right here, because of the strength of it. Okay, and I had a bunch of different versions of it, and this is kind of the version I settled on. All right, you see that the beam that comes down the center, okay, actually goes right into this. Okay, so it's all connected. And then we've got these stiffeners here that connect that into that and into that, so that whole idea is that I don't want this area to be breakable. Okay?
Snapping.
I don't think it will be. And the bottom of the chassis is very flat. It's got again tapped drill size holes, 1.6 millimeter for set screws. I'm not just going to put the set screws in. I'm going to actually tap the holes.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Go back to that previous picture. And so I see you have the axle holder upper screws inward as some other chassis makers do.
Yeah.
And the chassis and the axle holder downer screws over there at the outside. Since the axle cannot possibly go lower than the top of your axle holder uppers, why is the slot so long on your bearing holder blocks?
Yeah, it doesn't need the bottom part, does it?
Doesn't need the whole bottom area, and at that point, then you have enough room to put your axle holder uppers in the same spot.
In the same spot, yeah.
True. Okay. You got me. Okay. So that could be I actually haven't ordered this yet, so I could change that. Okay. And I'm just a little leery about where all that is going to end up. Okay. As far as the, and it's kind of a crapshoot, but that's a good point. And I almost, one of the things I was thinking about doing, Greg, while we're talking about that, see if I can find out, is I actually was thinking about carving a slot out down into this area, okay, to put spherical bushings in there, okay,
Okay.
like on a slot.
That
Okay.
makes more sense. If you're going to do that, then it makes sense to have the other ones inboard.
Yeah, and that's kind of where that was one of the thoughts. Okay, and then I thought, oh gee whiz, that's I don't know how well that's going to work or whatever, but that could be a possibility. Okay, this is a shot of the underneath, by the way. You see the screw holes, and this is the body.
I honestly think that if you give that one a good front ender, you might just bend it where your center spine dives down into the back of the front body post, and I would run it into the front body post if there was room for that. I wouldn't neck it down as much as you have done, because it could bend there, literally front to back bend.
Well, I don't think so.
You've got it in your hand, you don't know.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know, Garth, if you have thought about these, but I like this chassis, by the way. If you go, yeah, we're here. So also, if you would put like some side pans, like on the side of the beam, then this would make very easy, for instance, to chip these chassis, to put a chip there.
I don't want to put a chip there. Okay.
Yeah, you don't, but maybe some people would like to. So if you're gonna kind of share it with the rest of the content.
Or ballast.
Remind us again which
if I was gonna do a chip, I would have been, or a chip would change the whole way that this thing is operating. Okay, I would make it for a chip. Okay, this one is this the first one I've ever done, and I mean if I get this and I can put a Ferrari body on it, okay, and a motor and wheels on it, and it runs and operates like a slot dot-ed or a polycar Ferrari, that would be the success part of this thing. But and then from there, maybe a one with chips or whatever, or whatever, I mean, it's
I mean, in the future, there's potential to put a couple of little wire hooks underneath the front axle, so your wires come down the center spline, split before the body post, and go through a couple of little wire guides that sit inboard of your front axle slots, and then approach the guide in an optimal arrangement.
I kind of see this as a I'm not sure if I'm using the right terminology, and I'm sure Dennis will correct me, but
Phase one.
chassis. I've seen this kind of chassis for thingies that are not the big pans, but just a central torsion rod, and then the motor holder and the front axle holder and guide holder. But that's a very specialized use case that you don't see very often.
Yeah, you know, you're exactly right. Okay, and it was kind of motivated by what I ended up doing with the motor pod that I got. You know, you notice it's got the same front beam or whatever, you know what I mean? And that is something I did think about as far
Well,
as
that's actually a spring. What you've built into that is actually a rotational spring.
It'll twist right down the middle.
Yeah.
And it'll probably give you a lot of traction, a lot of grip. Personally, you know, I agree with Wayne a little on the front end there. I would make the front end of that center spine look a lot more like the rear end of the center spine, and spread it right into the front where you have the axle down stops, so that you can. Yeah, that joint there is not enough.
One thing that you guys don't really see in this photo is how thick this is. This thickness right here is really thick. Okay, and you see where it is right there?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
This is going right into that. Okay, and all this stuff is like, you know, it's nothing but a big wad of nylon right there. And Dennis, I did, and I still might do this. Okay, one of the things I was thinking about was this little guy right here.
Yeah.
I was thinking about making this more of a swoop right there as well. You know what I mean?
That'll help a little. It won't help as much as making it thicker. Because if you're worried about that area bending, in other words, the front end bending up, then you will get a lot more bending stiffness by making it taller than by making it wider.
Actually, I'm not so much worried, okay, because we'll see, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
So just real quick, before you place the order, you're using Fusion 360, right?
Yeah.
You ever done a section analysis?
Yes.
And you've run your section through that area to make sure you don't have any spots where it's really thinner than you expected it to be?
Yep.
Alrighty then.
Yeah. And all the I've done even more than that. Okay, you know what I mean? That area has gotten a lot of work on it, but I hear what you're saying. Okay, about you know, I was very aware of weight too. I'm trying to make it as light as possible, you know what I mean? So I mean, that sounds crazy, but okay. But anyways, that's the latest
normal.
And you know, like I said, it's, you know, the exercise for me, Dennis and everybody else, okay, is that, gee whiz, can I in my little shop here, can I measure a slot car and then get all the mechanics of it correct? Okay,
I think it's great. I really do. And I think that everything you've been doing lately and all the work you've been doing on your CAD systems and getting all this stuff done is fantastic.
Yeah.
And, yeah, absolutely agree.
Like I wish I had the same kind of dedication to that sort of thing, because I could have done a whole lot of stuff for myself. But unfortunately for me, it's still too easy to make something in brass.
Okay, well, okay. But like I said, if this guy,
I love it.
If it does, if the mechanics of it work like I want it to work, then it can be, I can do it on other chassis. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's,
I think it's great.
Okay, now here's the next one. These are some Alpha 333 mirrors. Okay, you know, and you know, I'm forever breaking off mirrors and stuff, so I talked to Jeremy and I said, hey, can you 3D print mirrors? And he said, well, draw one and send it to me. Okay, and lo and behold, he 3D printed this. So
If you can draw it, he can print it. Yeah.
yeah. And so he's got them printed up and they look pretty good. This one is for the Ferrari 312 PB, another one that for any
It always breaks off. Yeah.
always breaks off. And so, and he made me make this one really long, and I always cut mine off because they're so easy to break off. But so we made it really long so that if you wanted to make it whatever length you wanted to make it. Okay. And then this one is for the Lancia LC2, and I changed this one around. I was forever, that's one of my favorite cars. Okay. And we got a whole bunch of them here. And I was forever breaking off those really tall, high fender mounted mirrors. Okay. So I decided to make this one half height. You see the little thing here has been cut off in half, and normally they're, you know, they come way down here, but and hopefully, and usually what I ended up doing on these is I ended up, once they break off, I end up cutting off the stem and then I glue it onto the fender. So it's just the mirror part of it. Okay. This hopefully will take care of that. So that's
Quick question, Garth. Do you always do this on the left side of the car?
What'd you say?
Do you always do this on the left side of the car?
On
Because
the Lancia
that's the first mirror that you've shown us that needs to be mirrored, so that you can do the opposite mirror as well.
Well, they're both the same. Okay, more or less.
Are they?
Sure.
They're centered. It's kind of an illusion. It looks like it's leaning left because of the downward angle, I think. But
Oh, I
it's in
see.
the
They're centered. I get you.
They are centered. Yeah.
And when you put it in the fender, you'd rotate it whatever direction you want on the pin.
Yeah, I know. I get you.
And one of the things,
Looked like they were all left mirrors and none for the right. But I
No.
see it. Now you
no,
zoomed in.
this
I
is
can see it.
this is just a build plate. Okay. that
Yeah.
it's stuck to, you know, and we tried doing them. Jeremy could elaborate on it. We tried doing it. It was one, but turned out the build plate worked just as well, and you could do, you know, print a bunch of them at one time. So
It could sit in your box and keep them all together.
yeah. Okay. This is the real quick here. This is there's two new guides here that I got. This one's called the Tiger Shark. Okay. And this was totally driven by Jeremy, you know, pissing and moaning at me about hourglass shapes and shit, and, you know, thunder slot, this, that, and the other damn thing. And so I said, okay, you know, and so and little did I know I was gonna make one that I really like. So the shape of this guy is very much, if you draw this shape here and take all the junk off of it, it's very much like the Outlaw blade, but it's got a lot of other junk going on. Okay, and I'll show you in some of the other photos. Okay, you see it's got an hourglass shape to it. Okay,
Yeah.
where now the Outlaw guide is 1.5 wide. Okay, so this is, and then this is it. This actually is 2.35 wide. And this was one of Jeremy's thoughts, was he wanted something that had an hourglass narrowed down in the middle. Okay, so this has got a big, huge radius that takes it down. Okay, and you can't see a lot of the filleting and different shapes and stuff on here, but there's a bunch of 50 and 80 and 100 millimeter radiuses all over this damn thing. It's got a lot of contouring going on. You see that a little bit. Okay, it's kind of like the wide part of the blade is low on it. That's another kind of hallmark of this. So it's kind of a skeg type thing as well, but it's more shaped. It's more contoured and shaped than the other skeg parts. And I actually really kind of like it. So it hasn't been printed yet, but I think it's going to be a good one. Okay, so it's Tiger Shark is the name of it. All right, there's another good shot of it. And let's see, here's the next one. Okay, this is the last one I got here, and this one's called Hammerhead. Okay,
Oh,
Again, driven by Jeremy's, obsession with hourglass shaped blades. Okay. And this one it's got the outlaw shape to it, but it's got and it starts out with an outlaw shape with a very 2 millimeter wide and 2.35 millimeter widthwise. Okay. Skag on the very bottom of the blade, way down at the bottom of the blade. That's how it starts. And then the carving starts after that. You can see it's got a giant hourglass in the middle. Okay, another one of these big, draw the curve from, 10 feet away things. Okay. And again, we got this really big wide skag on both sides, but very narrow. And this one, the blade has been, to start off with the blade, the standard blade on the Outlaw Guide is 1.5 in the upper. This one starts out as 1. Okay, so it's very narrow right from the get-go. Right. And look at that bad boy. Let's go down all the way down to 0.5 millimeter. On this.
It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be. It needs to be an even bigger radius. The center section only needs to not touch the walls.
He's pushing the envelope. Let's just see what happens. You never know.
Yeah.
Brent wanted to test it, but what I wanted that hourglass shape because I've noticed some of the Thunder Slot wood guides, they don't bind up on the tight curves that we have. Whereas the what's the Slot Invasion, sometimes that'll bind up on the curve. And the guys were shaving that center part off. And I thought, well, Garth can just draw this from the right way from the get-go. And that definitely helps it get around tighter turns. Now, obviously, not everybody's track is going to have a tight turn that's going to matter with it. So that would probably not be for you. But
and that this is another good shot of it. You see, if you take a good close look here, you'll see where the skeg started out. Okay, the skeg started out just down here, flush to the bottom, and then it's got the front of it's carved off, and then giant hourglass. This shows it a little bit. You see the hourglass is here where the skeg kind of goes away again.
With this guide working so much at the bottom of the slot, are we therefore saying that it's only really going to work well with wood and probably won't work so well with plastic, depending on?
Correct. This is not a plastic track.
Actually, wrong.
How dare you?
Wrong, because this is only a 7 millimeter deep guide, and it works, and you're full of it on that, Wayne. Okay,
I don't know what's at the bottom of the slot in different track sections.
This thing will work great on a Carrera track, absolutely great. And I got the proof of it. Okay, so, and it's the whole idea of the skeg thing. Okay, is everybody wants a wide blade, right? But nobody wants to have the friction of it. So how do you do that? You make it smaller and put it where you want it to be put. I mean, you could put it where you want it. We could put it at the top. You could put it in the middle. You could put it, where do you want it? Where does Wayne want it? Okay. We could put it at, way up here, way up, at the 10,000 different places to put it. Okay. Take a look at that. That'll give you an idea of what's going on with this thing. Okay. And this one has been aptly named the Hammerhead. Okay. And it's got a 1 inch wide or 1 millimeter wide major part of the blade. Okay. And then it actually, how it carves down into 0.5 millimeter. So, and I will admit, this is a little over the top. Okay. But it's for Jeremy. So, he's kind of over the top.
So it doesn't matter.
Here's a good explanation of what the hell, how the thing was constructed. Okay, all of these lines and stuff on here are fillets, radiuses. Each one of these is a different kind of a radius. You can see there's a really big radius here. There's a fillet that connects the blade to the upper part. Okay, these are chamfers, fillets, just contoured together, okay, in a bunch of different ways. So it gives you an idea what goes into it. Okay, so you start out with a basic shape and you just start hacking away at it with a knife, and that's kind of how it goes. And sometimes you come up with something crazy, sometimes you come up with something cool. So that's all I got. Hopefully that was enough.
Any of them gone to print yet, Garth?
Yes,
Any of
there's
any?
three- none of these yet, but there's 3 outlaw guides that are that we have production parts on. The Model 1, the Model 2, which is the screw-in one, and the one with the side exit wires. Okay, and then the big question is, of the next 2, the Tiger Shark and the Hammerhead, which one do we want to order next? And I think it's probably going to be the one that it's an homage to the Thunder Slot shape is what it is, really. Okay, with some other outlaw junk in it, and other hourglass ideas. And I think we're going to even actually throw the hourglass idea. I think Greg Gobb will have to take some credit for that, because he kind of coined the phrase and it got stuck into Jeremy's head, and then here we go, right?
Mean blame.
We know who to blame, exactly.
All right, thanks for that. Lots of fun.
Good work, Garth. Good work.
Looking forward to the testing. And it looks like we're done with show and tell. So time for Club Corner. If you've got some racing you want to talk about, past, present, or future, raise your virtual hand. We'll make sure you get to you. I missed my race this Monday because I was dog sitting 3 dogs on top of my dog, and it was just chaos. So that was not, yeah. Anyways, they're gone now.
I'm sure maybe your dog didn't like having 3 dogs on top of him.
Surprisingly, he did okay, but it was just so much energy. One of them was a puppy.
Did they climb on him or did they just jump on him?
No, they played and they fought.
You said you had 3 dogs on top of your dog. I'm just trying to work out.
Sometimes they were when they were roughhousing. Anyway, I didn't get to race, but Jim did. What you want to talk about, Jim?
Well, I didn't get to. Well, I did race, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. There's some racing going on, and this is the ISRA Worlds. If you're not familiar with that, there's live stream on YouTube. It's 24 scale open, but not wing cars. These are somewhat scale looking cars. So it's not the wing car. It's a flat track with scale cars. They race, I think, 4 classes: 32nd scale F1, 32nd scale open, 24th scale open, and there's a team race. One of my buddies is there. So this is it. It's in New Jersey this year. It's all over the world, everywhere. I know, Dennis, have you ever been to the Worlds?
I attended the 2010 Worlds in Chicago, but I didn't actually compete.
It comes to the United States every once in a while, and this time it's here.
It's in Atlantic City.
New Jersey. Yeah.
The track has been standing in Mount Holly, New Jersey, at the raceway there, and then they moved it down to one of the casino hotels in Atlantic City, and so everybody is staying in the hotel, and everybody's running there.
And interesting enough, one of our Northern California guys, Ted Essie, has a garage-sized replica of this track. Well, not really replica, but it's the same basic layout. But the competitors are from all over the world. This is my buddy Justin Colvin, who's from the Sacramento area, and he was in one of the A mains at the last World. So he's a top-rated driver. I used to be able to beat him, but he's there. And interestingly enough, look who's there.
Andrea Noviello.
Yeah, NSR is there. And he's racing, obviously. And I saw this on the internet the other day, and I just thought about it. I grabbed a screenshot, and it was interesting that he was right next to Justin in this practice session. So it's live right now. They're doing practice right now, so they have a live camera, live feed. So if you want to watch these, it's a pretty good feed. You can kind of see what's going on, but obviously the cars are pretty fast. But yeah, this is the ultimate in terms of 24 scale cars.
But they're not hard body. They're still Lexan.
They're still Lexan
bodies,
and they have a resemblance to a real car, but they're not like what we race 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
The live streams are also on Electric Dreams. I mean, not different subject now. So I was watching the live stream from Electric Dreams on the weekend, and this was their Can-Am race, and Dennis is there in the background. Looks like Rick Jochen is trying to learn the secrets from Dennis, or find out who he's calling on the phone. But during the drivers' meeting, I found this quite interesting. This was said during the drivers' meeting. And I laughed. I thought it was hilarious. And so
It wasn't me.
I know it wasn't you, but he was standing right next to you.
Yeah.
I don't know who is that, Dennis. I'm not trying to name names because it was
the guy in the maroon shirt is Jim Monda.
I mean, it was all in good fun, and I took it in good fun, and it was I thought it was hilarious. So
Yeah.
anyway, we've made our presence known in Southern California, and that's about it for me. And I'll just leave it with that.
Nice. Beat LA.
Beat LA, yeah.
All right. Thank you for that one, Jim. And
That's it.
got lots of hands. Jeremy's next on my screen. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Okay. In my area here in Iowa, in our county we live in, there's 200,000 people, but we have 5 tracks now in the area that are up and running. This is the 6th track that came on last Saturday. I was helping him get everything, the timing system set up. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I got those infrareds in the first try, first time, fired perfectly. And that never happens to me. So anyway, that is the, like I said, 6th track, and there's 2 more after that that I worked on. The 7th track I just finished yesterday, getting his timing system set up. And then the 8th one I'm going to on Saturday. So they're going to be 8 tracks all within an hour drive of me now. Like per capita, we have to be one of the top track holder counties in America right now. It's crazy. So
Nice.
That's all I got.
I'm ready to
Jeremy, is that back straight, not straight, or is
No,
it-
it's a little squiggly right there, and then it comes around for a straight here, and a straight there. So the 3 straight should be fast. I don't know why they put that squiggly in, but the track owner wanted it, and that's the way it went.
Oh, so you don't have just 4 turns. You've got 5, 6, 7, 8.
You have 3 drag
Yeah,
strips.
it's a little a little squiggly back there, but it is what it is. Racing is racing to me. So
That track that Jim was showing, that's in Atlantic City, that track's main straight in front of the drivers is not straight either. It's actually a very big curve, and they do that purposely so that everybody has a decent view of the track. So you're never, particularly in the US, you're never looking past some guy's extended front end to try and see the car coming out of the turn at the other end of the driver's stand. Yeah, at the other end of the main straight.
That is thoughtful design right there.
Yeah.
All right, thanks,
Oh,
Jeremy.
the track I
And-
finished yesterday will be the first one we have with like a squeeze section on it. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Everybody's already complaining about it except for me. So
no surprise there. That's what
yeah, I know.
That's what I figured.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right, Lenny.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. G'day. Okay. We had our. Can everybody see the full screen, or is it just getting this?
No, we just see you. There we
Now
go.
we do.
Oh, that's unfortunate for you, but
Now we see the picture.
yeah, right. Okay. So, this week we ran. Well, not sorry. The Tuesday before last, we ran round 8 of our point score series, otherwise known as the sheep station round, because people get really serious racing for sheep stations. Classes we ran were Group C, Classic Sports and GT, and LMP / Sports Prototypes. We had 8 worthies turn up for this one, all the usual in my group. Managed to get here, except Jeff, who decided to race elsewhere that night. I'll just quickly give a shout out to Jeff. He's just had a hip replacement, and I hope things are going well for you, mate, if you're watching, and see you back soon. So young Andrew once again dominated proceedings with his. Well, I'll bring up the photo of the grid of the podium. So young Andrew dominated proceedings with his Toyota 88C, followed by me with my 962, and sorry, I've forgotten who was third. Oh, Steve Lambert. He's one of our regulars. Well-deserved podium finish there for Steve with his Nissan 89C or 88C or whatever it is.
89.
Yeah, so 89. Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, it was a good race. Jeff wasn't here. Jeff's our Group C king. He's got an 89C that's projectile, and no one else could match it. But he decided not to race with us. So young Andrew got up for the win, and then we went into the classic sports and GT. Andrew won again, a little bit closer than what we usually are. I was second, and Jason, who's an old wing car racer from way back in the 70s, who's come back to racing with us, he finished third. He's worked his way up through the grid in the last 2 years, from being last all the time to getting regular podiums. So there's the podium for that one. So young Andrew had a polycar Ferrari from my Thunderslot McLaren and Jason's Thunderslot McLaren. So it was good racing. These cars are really fast around my track. They're dropping into the 6.1, 6.2s. So, yeah. And then finally we finished on LMPs. So Andrew, once again, this time Steve got up. Another good podium finish for him in second place, and I finished third. Jason was really close behind me in fourth. That was down to the wire on the last lap, basically, that result. And then Callum, Norm, Andrew, and Bert. Bert's our senior member. Comes along when he can and turns up and doesn't care where he finishes, just has fun. And he's happy if he gets a good result. And there's the podium for that. So Andrew used a slot at 911 GT 98, GT1. And then there's two Lolas. I can never remember the model designation of these Lolas, so I just call them slot at Lola LMP.
Music and Lola.
No, yeah, they changed, don't they?
God, they made it's the craziest numbering system I've ever seen.
Yeah. So so there's Steve's Lowly. I think it's one of Norm's paint job. Norm Shrapel's another one of our regulars. He spends a lot of time painting bodies for other people. I think it's one of Norm's masterpieces there. And there's my Lotus version. It was gradually shedding mirrors, wings, and or not so much wings, but mirrors and wiper blades and front spoiler bits, but still going around. And that's about it. We've got another cheap station round coming up in the next week or so, next 2 weeks. So we'll have a report for that on next week. That's it for me. So thanks.
All right. Thank you, sir. Somebody on YouTube wanted me to mention the Australian NSR Nationals that happened apparently this past weekend. And I was trying to find some video of it. If you search YouTube for NSR Australian Nationals, you get 2023, you get a channel that just has a bunch of videos that link to another website with videos of the nationals that you then have to sign up and have an account for. So I don't have a valid functioning link for that, but I'm sure there's one out there. So if somebody finds one, feel free to drop it in the comments. And hopefully we can see that, because it looked like it was being broadcast live, which is always cool. But if you missed it, hopefully there's a way to watch it after the fact.
I think you can watch it on YouTube. If you Google it.
Hey,
Do search for it. I think it's on there.
I searched for just a minute, so maybe I'll do some more searching later. And if I find something that's actually video, then I'll share it.
I was watching it Saturday night on something. I think I'm pretty sure it was YouTube.
I believe you. I couldn't find it. I'll look again. If you find it, put a link in.
All right.
Okay, so we got 4 hands up. Gio got something? Got some racing to talk about? Gio? Go ahead. Here we go. Oh, sideways.
I'm not gonna touch it because otherwise it's gonna kick me out. Yeah, so Group C. So these are a bunch of cars that have been buying second hands. Some of them are cars that I had from some previous digital racing that we have done with these cars. So it's a kind of a mixed bunch. So I try to kind of equalize the performance. So one of the things that I did before, because this is not the first time that we raced them, was that I had like F22 tires. and there was over an assortment of wheels. Some had like the very small wheels, I think it was a 15, then 15 and a half, and then 16. So it was a kind of bit of a mess. And also the performance was pretty wild. So what I did was I got a bunch of 16.5 wheels, so the stock for the new releases of these cars, and I put G25 tires on them, no throwing, no gluing, just straight out of the box into the rims, and they performed pretty well on my truck. And the other thing also that I did was a bit of a balance of performance through the power profile in RCS 02, which basically actually, I mean, I did some testing and it seems they were pretty close, but actually didn't work out that close during the race. So there was one car that was dominating and one that
Can you
was
rotate that, Gio? Can you rotate that picture real quick?
No, I'm
Can you
not gonna
rotate? Hit it. There's a rotate button right there.
He doesn't want to.
Okay, I don't want to throw you off. Never mind. I'm sorry.
You're annoying. I know what the Garth is saying. So if you want to see the picture or close of the car,
There. Thank you. There.
What you needed
There
to.
we go.
Yeah. So this is basically same cars, but I think maybe a bit different order. I mean, I mean, nothing really kind of special. I mean, these are pretty standard cars. Maybe these first two are one of my first cars that I kind of painted myself, but I was stupid enough to buy the Patos stickers instead of decals. So from far away it looks okay, but nothing really that I'm proud of. So we did the practice, so went for practice, and then it seems like the Porsche from the yellow Porsche Camel was one of the dominating cars and still was performing pretty well during the practice. So then we moved on to qualify. So this was the order that we start from the pit, and this is how we end up. So again, the Porsche was up there, then. Although I think that it's kind of a legitimate lap. Alex Toyota was pretty close, and then surprise, Combi was running the white Lancia, which is a pretty good car, and basically beat me up in terms of lap speed. And then Terry and James. So the idea of these races is that we do 2 long races, so it was like 30 minutes each, and then one kind of sprint race of 5 minutes. It's also changing lighting conditions. So the first one should have been a long endurance race of 30 minutes under daylight conditions. I'm sure that I changed the setting on RCS. So these are kind of the starting grid, but actually finish in 5 minutes, man. So it was like everybody's surprised. So we're like so kind of preparing ourselves for the 30 minutes, and we did check that the timer actually was 5 minutes. So as you can see, we did only 40 laps, and basically Alex was surprised for him because I mean he was leading, but everybody was pretty close. And so we say, okay, these are our sprint race, and now we move to our 30 minutes in semi-darkness condition, and this is what we did. So we can see less lights. This is the grid, and these are the results. So I think there were more damage points than normal that we did before. I think that the power was, I mean, the voltage was a bit up, but also to compensate some of the power adjustment that I did via software. I think the one that was suffering the most was Jan. I mean, his car seems very slow at the beginning and was catching up. I mean, it still had quite quick laps, but not able to maintain, especially at the beginning of the race, good pace. And so it's a long race, so there was like changing of leads across the pit stop or repairing. So repairing takes 30 seconds, changing tires takes 15 seconds. And then the other thing that I was trying to also take a bit kind of time was the fuel. And the settings for the fuel in RCS 02 says basically whatever number you put there, it's seconds per 100 liters. So I put something like, I don't know, 60 seconds per 100 liters, but actually the speed at which the fuel was going up was pretty quick. So it's not the right definition. And I thought that maybe because it's very similar to what we have in GT3 in terms of speed, although the value is different. I thought that maybe something is broken on the software. I mean, no matter what kind of values you put there, actually is not going to affect the speed of the fuel. But I'm wrong. So today I kind of did a bit extra testing, and actually it's possible to change the speed, but the label that is there basically it's giving wrong information. So actually you have to lower a value in order to slow down the speed at which the fuel gets into the car. So which basically this will be interesting for the next race. Anyway, so this was in so the semi-darkness one, the results. So you see 231 laps. So actually the race is 45 minutes with all the track holds and such. So people were pretty tired. And then I said, okay, so what are we going to do for the darker one? Are we going to do the full 30 minutes or another sprint race? And we decided to go for 30 minutes, of course. So this was the grid. So it's a reverse grid. And we end up as a result, again, Alex basically was enjoying his Toyota. So Toyota, I think, was quicker. I mean, the BOP that I did, I think, was not really fair. So it was running, just for comparison, it was running at his max power was 85%, mine was 80%, and Jan was a 75, I think. So basically, the car, I don't know, come alive during the race, and it was lapping around us pretty easily. And then yeah, the rest of the bunch. So James, I think, was having a bit of a night on 39 ops. Most of I didn't repair. I mean, most of us, I think, did not repair. Alex maybe did once. But overall, it was intense in the darkness, and 30 minutes or 45 minutes, but it was good, very close overall. Anyway, that's us for this week.
Yo, those lighting, the light on there, is that the ones you make?
Yeah.
Do you happen to sell those like lighting kits or anything?
I mean, man, it's very, very simple. I mean, I would not feel.
No, it's okay. If you don't sell it, that's fine. I'm just curious.
Well, I mean,
didn't you do a pretty lengthy post on Slot Forum that showed how you built your kits?
Yeah, I was just seeing if you had like a kit that was all together, throw it in the mail, boom, done. Okay.
I can do. I mean, yeah.
You could make tens of dollars.
Yeah, you could at least make $12 if you do this, right? All right.
All right, moving along because we're running out of time. Mike, what you got? You got to unmute because we can't hear you.
Thank you. I raced Saturday. We had Slotto in 124th, which is always a stressful time. Made more stressful in my retro Can-Am because I lost a gear, and that took me the gear loosened up a little bit, so it took me a couple of 3-4 laps to get that straightened out, and then I lost a braid at one point, and had to solder that back on. And despite all of that, I ended up second. I felt pretty good. I lost plenty of laps, but still ended up second. The other two races, I did not finish last, but didn't do as well as I would have hoped on Saturday. And then Monday, we had our regular races for here. And we had Trans Ams, and for the life of me, I can't remember what else. Too much racing.
Go to Road America Northwest on YouTube to see the racing.
Yeah, except it's not up yet. Otherwise, I would have checked
later. You can do it later.
Yeah, I'll do it later. But anyway, you can check to see what we had last, the second race. The third race, I forgot to push the start button, and that one didn't end up on there. It was a short race with these Mercedes AMG. All three of us have our own of those. I'll put it up again.
Oh,
There
yeah.
we go.
Beautiful car.
Yeah, the Scalextric AMGs. There's three of them that we each have one, and I won two of the three races, but when I got to this one, it just blew up totally. I don't know what was going on, but I kept making mistakes, and it's like, oh, after two good runs, then to have that happen, it's just the way racing goes.
Yep.
But it was fun anyway. We had a good time, and the races were all real close. And of course, Ratby was thrilled because he won that one. So, and Shiggy was thrilled because I fixed his car up and made it run where he hadn't been able to get it going. And then, of course, he beat me. So, but that was my own fault. I had a faster car. And then last night we ran stock cars, 124 stock cars with the flat plate chassis, JK chassis, and they were okay. I'm about 3/10 shy on it, and I think I'm going to end up with a motor. I'm resisting buying a new motor. They're switching motors from Pro Slots, which are now $45 a piece for the motor only, and to the Eagle motors, which are about 12, but they only last about 6 or 7 races. So I'm debating on the Green Hornet track that we've got. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but if you go to Green Hornet Raceways in Malaga, Washington, they will they have a picture of the track, and it's a horsepower track, not a torque track. So the Pro Slots are real torquey motors. The Eagles are a little bit higher RPM and a little softer with less brakes, and they actually are doing pretty well. But there again, it's like, okay, when do you want to pay for the motor? You know what I mean? And I hate soldering in motors. It's just a pain in the butt. But anyway, I did third from last on that one. But it was okay. It was really, really close. We were within 2 laps. There were 4 of us. The top 4 were within 2 laps. So it was for considering that we've got 3-minute stints. I thought that was pretty good, and I managed to get 5 clean stints out of 8. So that was good, considering how much carnage was going on. I felt pretty good about that. So
what's a typical lap time?
Anyway, those are running a really good lap time is 3.8. And the cars are 10 thousandths inch thick Lexan bodies with Lexan interiors, flat plate.
You're getting a pretty good number
this minute.
In 3 minutes. You were getting a pretty good number of laps. So
we're getting between 41 and 44 laps, depending upon the particular lane that you're getting. And so it's 3.8 to 4.2 in that range. And the first 4 qualifiers were within 80 hundredths of a second. Just to show you how much difference it makes. It's tight. It's really tight because it's proscribed motors, and it's pretty even. You have a minimum weight of 125 grams, and the rest of it, and stock gearing. There's a set gear for them, so you can't go any change of gearing or anything like that. So it's a pretty clean class, but it's competitive, and it's tough. It's tough to win in that class. But at least I didn't get beaten by the 10-year-old.
I know some pretty good 10-year-olds. I
felt okay about that.
Speaking of 10-year-olds,
on the other hand, I did get beaten by the 10-year-old on Saturday. He's got an LMP car that just is a rocket, and he's a good enough driver and loves that car that he beat me by 1 lap. So I was a little annoyed at that, but not too much because he's only been racing about 6 times. Yeah. So, but his grandpa owns the track. So, he has a little bit of an in. And
No.
Grandpa builds the cars, and Grandpa builds really fast cars.
There you go.
So
I'll do it. Yeah, I noticed
that's
on
it for me.
I noticed on Electric Dreams live stream recently, I think it was this weekend, there's a kid couldn't have been much more than 10 years old, maybe 11 or 12. JD, I think was
JJ,
JJ. Yeah, he looked like he was doing pretty good.
he did actually. Yeah, he qualified ahead of me,
Nice.
and not that that's necessarily a recommendation for anybody, but he did pretty well. It was his first race in the non-magnet class. Up until now, he's been racing magnet cars, and he still needs a little bit of work in the long races. But yeah, he's doing pretty well. I actually had I've got some photos coming up.
Yeah, go ahead.
we get
Segue
around
into
to
your
my
thing.
turn. You want to segue to me?
Yep.
All right.
Go ahead, I'm done.
Okay. So a couple of things. First off, Mike, pay attention.
Yes.
These are the things that you don't like soldering, right?
Yep. Well, that's
Well,
a. Oh, what the
This
heck
is an
it?
Eagle
Jake-
motor in the. This is an Eagle motor in
Oh,
the
it
back
is an
of
Eagle. Okay.
what I think is a Mazzetti, or it could have been a. It could have been
Yeah.
a JK.
Yeah.
All right.
Mazzetti chassis are what we run in LMPs.
All right, so what I was doing here was I was putting in the little brace at the back and marking on the motor where that brace would fit. Then I take that and I actually put the motor into a little jig, all right, which has a slot cut in it, which is the thickness of the chassis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then I hold the motor down, and then I put the little brace in and line it up again with the marks on the motor and hold it down with that screw, right? And then that allows me to solder that outside of the car.
Yeah.
Instead of putting it in the car.
Uh-huh.
And that means that once you've done that, you can clean it all up and you can get this lovely joint there. And then when you're done with that, if you clean up the back of the chassis, then you can tin that with solder and then put it in. And I use the backing paper that comes with the lane stickers.
Oh yeah,
You keep
got
that.
plenty of that.
Right, you keep that. And you put a double piece between the axle and the motor, and a single piece in the gears, and you jam it all in nice and tight, and you slide the motor back until as far back as you can get it, and then you can solder all of this very, very simply and easily, and it gives you this really nice joint back there, and that's all. And so
Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong. If you're really building a vintage car, though, shouldn't you be using rolling papers?
this is not a vintage car.
Sorry, my mistake.
This is current flexi cars.
Yeah, John.
All right. Then okay, so now I'm going to share just something else, which would be I think this one. This is the results of the weekend's racing. I didn't have the qualifying, but this was Pro Can-Am, which means Electric Dreams allows all of the Thunderslot cars, some of the NSR 908s and 917s, any of the Sidewinder slotted cars, meaning McLarens and Chaparrals and Alphas and Ferraris and things like that. So these were the results. Todd O'Leary won it. Rick Jocham was second, 2 laps back. Tim Herrera was third out of the B final. Brandon Phillips, and then these guys, Brandon, L, Walter, Dan, Phil, they were all in and Rick, I think, were all in the A main. Chris and I came out of the C race. So there were a couple of good races. So does that still come up as a photo?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So these are the photographs that Carlos took during the day. I was running a McLaren M8 D from Slotted. There were a lot of other. Oh, there's JJ in the background. You can see him there. Mark Natividad, Dennis Brown, Chris Sakamoto, myself, Baba Hooley, all blurred because of the way that Carlos likes to take his photos. He didn't take a lot of photographs of the racers. I would like to see him doing more of that. Couple of 908 Porsches, McLaren M6s and Alvas. This is Brandon Phillips. Brandon Phillips' son Jackson, who was the one and only racer in the Can-Am Light category, which allows a magnet in the car. So he won that. Quite a few guys running the McLaren Alvas, but most of the Thunderslots were M6s, and the podium was all 908s, Porsche 908 from NSR.
Dennis, I have to sorry to interrupt. Those photographs are awesome.
Carlos does a really nice job of those. You know, and then they send them out afterwards. So yeah, they are very nice. Normally when he does them, he takes more photos of the people, but he was really busy because he was doing a lot of the race directing as well. There were 29 cars for this race, so it was a really well attended event. Okay, that's me for now.
Love it. Good stuff. All right, Wayne, you've got 9 minutes. Are you still there, Wayne?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't think I need 9 minutes.
All right.
The club over in Stoke-on-Trent has a regular series of events based around a set of classes, but just recently, can you see my share screen? You can't, can you?
Not yet, no.
Okay, I'm trying to share. No, I can't do that. Shucks. They sent me some photographs of what they were up to at the weekend, and I can't make it happen at the moment. Let me see if this is working. I've got two screens because I've got my phone in the chat as well. Not that one. It's not letting me share. Shucks, sorry.
You got 8 minutes, you're fine.
Yeah, it looks like I've got to go through some settings and allow an app to display over other screens. Has anyone else got anything while I just sort this out?
That was the last hand, but yeah. And so while Wayne figures that out, anybody got anything they want to ask about or talk about before we?
I got something I'd like to ask a question on.
Go for it.
If you don't mind. So we in our clubs, the people always put weight into on a wood track. They add weight, and they usually get the cars up around 80 grams of weight. I mean, that's like the minimum is 80. It's usually 80 to 90 to get traction. And then I kind of brought up the fact that the same guys that are winning at our clubs, they like go up to the Michigan NSR Nationals and they get their butts kicked. And like, I know that a lot of you guys talk about let's remove the weight, but in our tracks we can't get traction. So you're good. You're good.
I've worked it out. Carry on. I'll just stop that.
No, I'm just gonna say, is there something I'm missing? Is it like maybe the track surface is different, or
when you go to the Nationals, anything at Michigan, you're running on silicone tires for a starter.
Yeah,
and
we run
so
silicone here.
Totally different. It's a totally different deal.
Yeah, but if you're running silicones there, you shouldn't need to be running at 80 or 90 grams car to get traction.
No, I know, but I'm saying like when we race at our local tracks, we have to have weight for traction. I'm just wondering if there's a difference in surface level or paint textures or.
Are you running silicone tires locally?
Yeah.
And you're having to put weight in for traction?
We do. If you don't have weight, you're gonna be fishtailing all around and not gripping. And it's at every track, but all like the 4 wooden tracks we race at right now, they all have different textures. Like one's high gloss, one's low gloss, like what there's no standard, and I can't figure it out. And you guys always talk about removing weight. And so it's throwing me off. Well,
Traction
if we're not going to solve it here, I was just curious, is there?
No, but traction with silicon tires generally is a matter of a super clean surface, and then you shouldn't need weight, quite honestly.
I mean, generally, you shouldn't need to add weight for any. If your traction is there, you shouldn't need to add. Okay, let me start over. You shouldn't need to add weight to gain traction. If you're adding weight to gain traction, then there's some other issue at play here. Wrong tire compound for the track surface, track's dirty, tires dirty, whatever.
Yep, I'm just curious what
Jeremy,
it is that's different here.
You're not talking about you're talking about the whole club in general, right?
Yeah, the whole club, like the top 2 or 3 drivers always have their cars around 85 grams. I mean, some of the top drivers have had like some of the cars at close to 100 grams. And it's always blown me away because everything I'm doing with you guys is like remove weight, get rid of weight, lighten weight. So I'm just curious.
The only experience I have with silicone is with HO. And with HO cars, I mean, it's a different animal, I get it. But with HO cars, if you open the door, you'll notice a difference in traction just because of the little dust and the little breeze coming in.
Yeah.
It's super sensitive to the track being immaculately clean. HO cars, you can wait 10 minutes and you've got to run the track back in.
You make a good point because we've opened the garage door sometimes and then all of a sudden nobody can drive again. And so, yeah, maybe that's part of it. Just dust and debris stuff.
I mean, that's the one of the biggest downsides to silicone is how sensitive
immaculately clean the track has to be. Okay.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and say if those guys who get the hot laps with so much weight would go ahead and try without the weight, they'd probably get hotter laps because it's not the weight that's giving them traction. It's their clean tires. It's not the weight that's making them win. It's their trigger finger. But the weight is going to slow down their acceleration and extend their braking. So if they remove that weight, their tires are just as clean as they were with the weight in there, they should be getting better laps. Unless, I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is that they're adding weight specifically because they think it is enabling their traction. But are they actually adding it to change the way the car tilts and drives? Because that will change traction. If you have your weight on the outsides of your chassis or whatever, it's going to dig in a little bit more. But if you just stick a slab of lead in the middle for traction purposes, that's not what you should be doing. And if you stick it way in the back, thinking, well, if I weigh down the back, I'll get better traction, you're going to counteract it. You're going to increase the pendulum effect and make it slide more. I used to put weight in just as a matter of course. And, for the last 2 years, I've learned so much from these guys. I avoid it at all costs.
I'll look at cleanliness because I think I got a test I can do with one of these new tracks that are coming online and just have it perfectly clean before and do no weight with weight in a car with weight.
The car that I got back from one of your club members,
okay,
it had like 15 grams of weight on the back of it.
All right. Is that normal or not?
No.
Way too much.
Okay.
No, I don't have any experience with stuff going on wood, but still.
Yeah. Okay.
Jeremy,
many factors.
Does Wayne still need to go? He's got time if he's got it working.
Yeah, we can run a little longer. What was you going to ask, Michael?
What I've been doing with these is I take the weight of the car itself and lighten it up lighten the chassis and stuff up as much as possible, and then add weight in 60% rear, 40% front fashion. And
yeah, I would do that too. Yeah.
It makes a huge difference. Just add the minimum weight you can to get the best traction. And I found, and most of my sideways cars come with a 59-41 ratio, and that works really, really well on those cars. It's, if you stay in that 60-40 range, it works pretty well. And just add the minimum amount of weight that you need to get to that ratio, and then play with it a couple of percentage points. What I do is I put, I've got a setup block that I sit on top so that it's the same height as my scale. And I'll put the front end here. I don't have a guide.
I do the same thing. I use the gram scale to balance and make
so
sure that
you try to balance it out as best you can and keep it in that range, and it will make a difference. If I've got a car that slides, I add a little bit more weight towards the front, and I'll do it in like maybe 0.5 gram or 1 gram intervals until I get it right. And then if I've got it goes well that way up until a certain point. And then you have to back off again because you'll have too much weight. You have to add a little bit of weight to the rear or take some off the front in order to get it balanced. You look for the best possible point you can get it. And this is after you've done everything else that you possibly can as far as weight or height from the track. Make sure that like if you've got a pod, that it's loose correctly, that you got enough traction there. That everything is, I use silicone washers to keep the bouncing to a minimum so it doesn't slam down, it eases down in the corners. That get all that stuff, and true tires are glued, of course, for the most part. All that other stuff done without any weight at all, and then start adding minimum weight to get the best possible traction you can.
And it depends on the car too, because if you're running an angle on your car, that motor is 10 grams heavier than a short can motor. So
I've been taking out the long can motors just to get less weight back there.
And they have so much god awful torque. They're a handful.
Yeah.
One of the guys on YouTube commented that for their NSR racing, their top drivers don't add any weight, but a lot of them add weight, and I think that's because you will get a more consistent drive because it slows down your acceleration, and because it causes you to brake a little bit earlier. You got to be more on the nose with less weight because you start quicker and stop quicker, but you can get more consistency without being so on the nose with a little bit weight added. Maybe that's why they're benefiting from weight.
Yeah, because the car's more stable.
I'm assuming you're talking about getting drive off the corners. The car is loose in the rear end coming off the corner.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just like the NSR Corvette I have. When it comes around a corner, it does a little of this, and then it grips again. And I've got it at 60-40 balance, and the only weight I added was to get it to 60-40, and it's gotten a lot better. But then I looked at some of the other guys' cars, and their NSRs are up at like 85 grams. I mean, everybody will share how much their weight is, but I'm like, holy crap, 85. So, and then I just wondered if it was something we were doing differently with our texture painted tracks. But
85 grams is not a very heavy slot car.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Cars that come in and around that weight. Anyway.
Well, just like when I hear Chris talk, he removes all the weight he can. Yeah. And just to me, it was like counterintuitive because in our club, they're always trying to add weight. So I just wanted to see what it was.
It's always about the right compromises. If you need to put that weight on the rear tires to get the traction, then you need to put it there. And the factor that no one's mentioned yet is I liken it to inflation pressure. If you've got a very firm rubber and you need to put a bit of weight on it to expand its contact patch, push it out a little, then a little bit of weight is what it needs. Because if the bigger contact patch gives you just what you need, how hard are your silicones?
Super tires and the harder ones from Quick Slicks are usually the 2 tires that are used. It's okay. I've got plenty of ideas. I'm gonna test some stuff now that I got some information on it.
Jeremy, is it something that are they adding weight per track, or are they averaging out over a bunch of tracks?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of tracks.
Okay.
But I got to thinking, like, we have one track that's held at a winery, and he only holds one race a year. And I had no weight in any of my cars and I dominated that day. And now I'm looking back, I was like, maybe it was because it was so clean, nobody'd raced on it, and like he cleaned it the night before. So I'm gonna do some experimenting and see if that's what it is. Because now that I think about it, maybe it's just dirt, dust.
All right,
That
well,
could make a huge difference.
we'll leave Jeremy to do his
I'll update you.
experiments, and we'll give Wayne a couple minutes to share whatever he was going to share before we turn off the live button because we're over time.
Okay, I'm going to go for that share again, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go to my messenger where I received the pictures. Now, the club has space in its calendar for bad weather events or failed timing events. It has spaces in its calendar for it to be able to rerun a club night. But when those don't need to be used for that purpose, they throw in a class that they rarely ever use. And this is the one that they chose to use this year. Now, you've seen, if you were a subscriber to my YouTube channel, you've seen this circuit in use with a plastic track on top of it. They host disco races on here. Personally, I've never raced on the wood track that you're looking at here. It's not a club that I can go to on a regular basis. It's about an hour and a half drive from me. But one of their members was kind enough to send me a couple of photos because this was an out of the ordinary race meeting. And as you can see, it was truck day, truck racing. So if I can scroll along, let me just check which direction we've got to go. Of most interest to me, and I asked for more pictures about it, was that truck in the back, because I don't think that's a production item. Is it? Does anyone know if that's a production unit or whether it's something that someone's made?
It looks like a converted die cast or a converted model kit.
Yeah, it looks like it's been something converted, and this is the answer. It is something converted, and look how it's been done. And this is what was very interesting to me. They've gone and gotten a couple of slotted flat six motors, a couple of axles,
double power
crown gears.
Wow.
Well, hold on a minute.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It may not be double powered, and it just may be using the can as a holder for the bearing.
No. It's got twice the amount of torque at the same RPM.
Wow.
Wow.
And because it's a heavy unit, it's going to need that torque to get any move on.
Yeah, that's nice.
And it's been really well done, hasn't it? You can see there's some bits of alley and some soldering and one thing and another in there. They fitted it into the truck extremely well. Made a six-wheeler, and I'm just wondering whether there was ever an occasion where he put that back axle in the opposite way around and discovered he'd got wheels that went both directions, because I can imagine that happening really easily.
If he's using both motors or two motors like that, it must be a die cast then, Wayne.
It potentially is, and I got a little video of it. I don't know whether it'll play, but we'll try, shall we? It's only one lap, and I'll explain why when you see it. Oh, I'm wrong.
No, it's playing.
Have you got the audio?
No.
Okay, so there's an audio track with this, and it's Crazy Crazy Nights by Kiss.
First.
And I don't know, but I suspect that might be coming from the trailer unit, sorry. And here is the lap. And it's going to come towards you down the main straight.
Yeah.
Can you see that? Is that flowing well enough?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, so the twist with this was that they couldn't use it during the event. In fact, it's making the music right now.
For obvious reasons.
And you'll see why. Not only is it dominating 3 lanes, but it won't go underneath the timing bridge.
Okay. Gotta stop there. Yeah.
Yep.
I was surprised that the field showed both Fly and Scalextric trucks.
But this thing's got a big deflector on top of the cab as well. So it's pretty tall.
That's happened in real life on many occasions.
Yes, it is.
Can someone stop the share for me?
Yeah,
I found it. There it is. Anyway, I just thought that was fascinating, and I thought it might tickle a few comedy nerves. And
Ticket us all. Great.
Very cool. And on that, we're going to end the stream. So everybody wave bye till next week. Bye.
See you guys.
Waiting for the stream. There we go. Now it's